Well, tax day may be over for another year, but if you're battling the IRS due to tax levies, you got audits, or maybe even wage garnishments, you need someone who has an in-depth understanding of the federal and state tax laws. Coggins Law has been helping families in the Sacramento area finally get rid of their tax problems for good. Owner and attorney at law, we have Brian Coggins joining me now to share more about the tax law process. Brian, great to have you here on the show.
Great to be here. This
is a very good topic for people to know about, having a resource for, because I myself, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't even know where to turn. So help us understand how you actually got started in tax representation.
Well, it started 20 years ago. When I got out of school, I went to work as an accountant. Actually working at my dad's accounting firm, preparing taxes and working with businesses. Didn't take long before some of them couldn't pay their bills. So I started getting involved with tax representation, but I often ran into hurdles such as, well, we need to get an attorney involved here. So I realized real early on I needed to go to law school, get a law degree, tax concentration, so that I could give the clients the best service possible. So I did that, and I've been at this for the last 10 years or so.
Wow, so you really recognize the fact that there was really a need.
Absolutely.
For that right there, yeah. And give us an idea of what kind of clients do you help?
Well, the vast majority of them are those that owe the IRS and or the state of California, typically over $10,000. We also help planning, so we do some estate planning and we do some audit work. So, you know, anything we can do to avoid owing in the first place is the best. But when you do owe, that's usually when I step in, and my goal is to help those clients get out of that debt with the least amount of money as well as, you know, emotions.
Yeah, stress.
Exactly.
Because that definitely comes with it. So our viewers contact you, they set up an appointment. Can you kind of walk us through what they can expect?
Well, yeah, so I've always taken the approach with all of my appointments. Number one, I want to provide the client with information. My appointment is not just about me getting them my prices or trying to sell my services. Ultimately, that's going to happen if it works. However, I want the client to leave there at least with a good, solid legal understanding of where they stand. Obviously, if something I can help them with, I'll then explain to them what we can do, how much it'll cost, and then we can move forward from there.
And help our viewers understand, you know, what are some of the options they may have if they owe the IRS or the state?
Well, the first things I always look at is there any way we can get out of this IRS or state debt without paying it at all? For instance, the IRS only has 10 years to collect the debt. So oftentimes the first thing we look at is, well, when was this from? You know, if it was over 10 years ago, we may be past the statute and it's already over.
Really?
The other thing we're going to look at is bankruptcy. You can discharge taxes, which essentially get rid of them in bankruptcy, if they meet certain criteria, one of which is it has to be at least 3 years old. So we're going to look at those options first. If those don't work, we're going to go on to paying the least amount as possible. So offering compromises, by definition, is paying less than you owe. And the IRS has provided us a formula that we walk the clients through, and doesn't matter how much they owe. They could owe 10,000 or 10 million. Whatever the formula says, for the most part, is what they're going to pay. So oftentimes that's vastly lower than what they owe. And then there's other solutions if they don't qualify for those. We look at innocent spouse, we look at installment agreements, possible penalty abatement, anything to reduce the tax, get them on a payment plan, and stop any collection action.
Okay, and what about someone if they're worried about settling in court? Well,
when you're dealing with court, the good news is that rarely happens. So vast majority of clients are never going to see the inside of a tax courtroom. You're going to see, you know, a revenue officer, a settlement officer, an auditor. If all of them make mistakes, then luckily our judicial system has the court process at our disposal. So we can go to tax court, appellate court, and ultimately the United States Supreme Court. But if we're doing that, that means there's been a lot of mistakes made, there's a lot of money on the line. So even though it can be costly, it'll save them a lot of money overall. But very few people will actually have to go through that.
And I know I mentioned that if I was in this situation, I wouldn't even know where to turn. So I would definitely need some guidance and help with this. But there may be some individuals out there that feel that, you know, they have somewhat of an understanding. Can they approach this type of situation without representation?
Well, the short answer is yes. You don't need an attorney to do it, but I would highly advise having one to do it. And there's two main reasons why. One is the law is complex. Your adversaries, the IRS, typically, they understand the law, at least as much of the law that it can hurt you. Oftentimes they don't understand the laws that can help you. So number one, understanding the law. But more importantly, emotions. When you're representing yourself, you're highly emotional, and it's very difficult to negotiate and think straight when it's your problem. They always say an attorney who has himself as a client is a fool. So even if I had the situation, I would be hiring another tax attorney to take it from me.
Really?
Because I can't have my emotions cloud my judgment during the examinations.
You know how much that could really impair the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Great insight. Thank you so much, Brian. And how can our viewers reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is by phone, 916-270-2895. You can call and make an appointment. If I'm available, I can speak with you right then. If not, my secretary will make an appointment for a phone call, or if you would prefer, make an appointment to come in so we can meet in person.
Excellent, Brian. Thank you so much. I have already learned a ton just by chatting with you briefly.
Oh.
So I can just imagine how much our viewers will benefit. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.